Good day, all this is BOTARDO channel youth-friendly content creator. Let me hit you with a truth bomb. Your entire life, everything you do, oat milk in your latte, the show you're binge-watching tonight is dictated by trends. You think you're making a choice? Spring of 2020, you and millions suddenly whipped instant coffee sugar, water, into a frothy caramel-colored cloud? No, you were caught in a current. You were riding a wave. Was that Dalgona coffee wave a tsunami, or just a quick shore break? This, my friends, is the fundamental question. Are you a visionary shaping the future, or making a photogenic but fleeting cup of coffee? We're all swimming in an ocean of trends. They are the invisible scripts for our social lives. 1 minute, curated filtered Instagram photos. Next, chaotic authentic photo dumps. Skinny jeans were everywhere. Now Gen Z looks at them like an old landline. These shifts feel random, but they're not. They are signals. They are data points telling us a story about where we are and where we're going. And learning to read them is a superpower. This isn't just about fashion or coffee. This is about everything. The way you work, the way you invest, the way you vote, every major decision is influenced by the cultural currents of the moment. All right, let's get into the weeds. Let's define our terms. Because words matter. First up, the micro-trend. Think of a micro-trend like a firefly. It's brilliant. It's captivating. It lights up the night for a second. Everyone goes, ooh, then poof, it's gone. These are the fads. Viral TikTok dances, the renegade, the savage challenge, they explode with impossible to ignore energy. They're everywhere for a hot minute. Your cousin is doing it. Your boss is trying it in a Zoom meeting. A flash mob the whole internet joins. But short lifespan. It burns hot and it burns fast. Dalgona coffee, sourdough, among us. That's the micro. Now, the big one. The macro trend, not a firefly, the moon, not a flash, a steady force that governs tides, deep societal shifts that change how we live, how we work, and how we connect, over years, even decades. A macro trend isn't just a viral dance, it's the invention of the smartphone. It lets that dance be filmed, shared, and viewed by billions instantly. See the difference? The smartphone rewired society. Here's where it gets juicy. The line between micro and macro isn't always a brick wall. Sometimes, a little micro trend starts hitting the gym, drinking its protein shakes, and has a major glow-up. It evolves, it matures, it transforms from a fleeting fad into a legitimate long-term trend. It's like watching a garage band suddenly start selling out stadiums. It happens when a micro trend taps into a deeper, unmet need or a pre-existing macro trend. The fad becomes a vehicle for a much larger idea. It catches a ride on a bigger wave. Let's look at the plant-based food movement. A few years ago, ordering a veggie burger was a sad experience. But then, companies like Impossible Foods and Beyond Meat came along. They didn't just make a better veggie burger, they made a veggie burger that bled. They used science and technology to create a product that mimicked the experience of eating meat. This was a micro-trend, a new, cool product. But it latched onto several powerful macro trends: health and wellness, environmental sustainability, ethical concerns about animal agriculture. The result? The plant-based burger went from a niche health food store item to being on the menu at Burger King and Carl's Jr. It went mainstream. The initial fad was the spark. The macro trends were the fuel that turned that spark into a raging fire. That is now reshaping the multi-trillion-dollar global food industry. It wasn't just a product. It was an answer to, how can I eat better for myself and for the planet without giving up the foods I love? It succeeded because it provided a convenient, satisfying solution to a question a lot of people were already asking. We see this pattern everywhere. Think about remote work. For years, working from home was a micro-trend. Then 2020 happened. The pandemic was a massive external shock that forced a global experiment. Now hybrid and remote work are here to stay, fundamentally changing our cities, our careers, and our daily lives. The fad became the future. But for every micro-trend that gets a record deal, a dozen others are left playing in the garage forever. Most fads don't evolve. They dissolve. They peak, they plateau, and then they vanish into the cultural mist. Only to be remembered in, remember the 2020s? Listicles. They get ghosted by the culture. Why? What's the difference between the sourdough starter that's now a fossil in the back of your fridge and the plant-based burger that's a staple at your local diner? It usually comes down to one word: friction. Fads that die are often high friction. They require too much effort, too much money, or too much lifestyle change for the average person to sustain. Let's go back to our friend, the sourdough starter. In the early days of lockdown, it was perfect. We were all stuck at home, desperate for a wholesome, time-consuming hobby. Sourdough baking was complicated. It was scientific. It required nurturing. We named our starters. We fed them. We burped them. We treated them like a Tamagotchi made of flour and water. But when the world started opening back up, when you had to go back to the office, commute, and have a social life, suddenly that high-maintenance blob of yeast seemed like a lot of work. The friction of maintaining it became greater than the joy it provided. And so we ghosted our starters. This is the life cycle of a high-friction fad. Look at Google Glass. Technologically incredible, but culturally a disaster. The friction was too great. The fad fizzled because it demanded too much and offered too little practical value. Contrast this with something low friction like the rise of podcasts. Listening doesn't require you to change your life. You can do it while driving, working out, cooking, seamlessly integrating into dead time. That's why it grew from a niche hobby to a massive mainstream industry. A fad dies when it asks you to change your life for it. A trend sticks when it makes the life you're already living better, easier, or more interesting with minimal effort. So you're standing in the cultural supermarket, you see a new product, a new idea, a new behavior. How do you know if you should put it in your cart? How can you tell if it's a future maker or just a flash in the pan? There are signals, there are clues. I call it the crystal ball test, and it has a few key components. The first and most important question to ask is, does this solve a real, persistent problem or fulfill a deep, timeless desire? Fads are often solutions to temporary problems like lockdown boredom. Lasting trends are solutions to permanent ones like the desire for connection, convenience, self-improvement. The second signal is what I call the ripple effect. Does this new thing create change in adjacent industries? A true macro trend doesn't exist in a vacuum. It sends out ripples. The rise of the smartphone didn't just create a new phone industry. It birthed the app economy, changed advertising, disrupted taxis, hotels, and cameras. When you see change in one area causing unexpected changes in totally different areas, that's a huge sign. A fad, like a new flavor of soda, doesn't change anything else. A true trend changes everything around it. The third signal is about infrastructure and investment. Who is betting on this? And are they betting with real money? Follow the money. When you see major corporations and VCs pouring billions into a sector, that's a sign. Look at electric vehicles. For years, a niche curiosity. Tesla made them cool. The real sign it's a macro trend was when Ford, GM, Volkswagen started investing tens of billions to retool. Infrastructure follows investment. Finally ask, is the trend getting easier, cheaper, and better over time? This is the adoption curve. Early versions are clunky and expensive. If it's a true macro trend, there will be a relentless push toward accessibility. Solar got cheaper. Streaming went from buffering to 4K. If a trend is becoming accessible to more people, it has legs. If it stays exclusive, expensive, and complicated, it's likely to remain a niche luxury or a temporary fad. Solve real problems. Look for ripples. Follow the money. Watch for accessibility. Use the crystal ball test. Now, become your personal FBI. Okay, so we've broken down the theory. Now let's make it practical. How do you apply this to your own life? Become your own personal trend spotter, your cultural FBI agent. You don't need a fancy degree or expensive analytics. Just cultivate a new way of looking at the world. It starts with paying attention to the small stuff, anomalies, things that feel a little weird or new. When you notice something, don't dismiss it. Get curious. Ask, why this? Why now? Be an anthropologist of your daily life. Tool 2. Look for patterns, not just points. One person using a new app = a point. 3 unconnected friends using it = a pattern. Start connecting the dots. Hear the same idea in a podcast, in a news article, or in a conversation with a coworker. That's a signal. Don't consume culture passively. Actively scan for echoes and repetitions. Create a mental or physical cool wall. Who's pushing the ideas? What products are forming around them? Third, diversify your information diet. One source = one perspective. You'll end up in a filter bubble if you don't. Read things you wouldn't normally read. Follow people with very different lives. Listen to music from other countries. Watch indie films. Trends often start at the fringes, in subcultures, in niche communities, long before mainstream picks them up. Watch the edges. Finally, talk to people, real people, not just friends like you. Talk to someone much older, Talk to a teenager. Talk to the barista who makes your coffee. Ask, what are you excited about? What worries you? What's the new app you can't live without? These conversations are primary source data, raw, unfiltered signals. Being a trend spotter isn't solo. Create a cool wall, map connections, diversify your diet, and talk to people. Be genuinely curious. Go out today and look at the world with this new lens. So, let's bring it all home. We live in a world of constant dizzying change. It's an ocean of dalgona coffees. It's an ocean of viral dances. It's an ocean of revolutionary technologies. It's easy to feel like you're just being tossed around by the waves, reacting to the latest thing, buying the latest gadget, only to see it become obsolete a year later. But it doesn't have to be that way. Take a breath. By learning to distinguish the splashy microtrends and the deep, powerful macro trends, you can change your relationship with the future. You can stop being a passive passenger and start being an active navigator. This isn't just academic. This skill has real, tangible benefits. For your career, it can help you spot the next big industry and develop the skills you'll need to thrive. For your finances, it helps you see the difference between a speculative bubble and a genuine long-term investment. In your personal life, it can help you spend your time and energy smarter. Focus on things that bring lasting value instead of chasing fleeting fads. It's about moving from a reactive mindset to a proactive one. See the chessboard, not just the next move. Pause. Put it through the crystal ball test. Does it solve a real problem? Does it have a ripple effect? Is there serious money and infrastructure being built? Is it getting cheaper, better, easier? Is it low friction? You can start to see the hidden logic behind the chaos. Differentiate between noise and signal. Please like, share, and subscribe to more upload content like this. BOTARDO channel. Thank you for watching. God bless everyone. See you next video.